Yo, what's good everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video it is a bit different from what I usually do, but I feel like I should put out this video to kind of help other people who are playing MyNBA, and they're kind of experiencing some of the frustrating things that happen with 2K. But honestly, if you can get some of these settings right and some of these things adjusted, 2K can be a very great experience for you. So here I am in my Lakers rebuild year 3. This is like 13 episodes ago, I think, something like this. It's crazy to see our team like this because it's a lot different now. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to set up the sliders and the tendencies and the overalls and really everything like that. So first, let's go over here to trades, and for trade value, honestly, with this right here, I would honestly just keep it the same. I've copied a few videos and changed these settings like a million times, and every time the price of different players makes no sense. A guy who has like no trade value, I think, is, who is it? Like Zion. I don't know if he has any trade value. Anthony Edwards gets offered up a lot. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. So some of the trade stuff I would keep the same. And really, when you're controlling a team, I think you should control all 30 teams or have the ability to veto trades. So trade approval, you need to keep that on, because sometimes the CPU will make the stupidest trades and it'll make no sense. Like in this one, the Rockets have been trying to trade Şengün for like 4 years now. No idea why. No idea why. He's a very good player. They keep trying to trade him for just no reason. It makes no sense. So for trades, honestly, I would keep that the same. It makes no sense to, you can adjust a few things, but trades are really hard. The best thing to do when you're making a trade, if you make a trade for 2 other teams, look at some trades that happen in real life, try to model the trades around that, or maybe make up storylines yourself in your head. Maybe this player's not as valuable because something happened, or he doesn't fit this team anymore and he wants to get out and the team has no leverage, so maybe you can get him for cheaper. Stuff like that, I think, is the best when you're trying to set up like a My League and try to be quote unquote as realistic as possible. But there's a lot of, it's hard to be realistic because it feels like in real life a lot of unrealistic stuff happens. Like, you told me 2 years ago JJ Redick would be the coach of the Lakers, I'd be like, yeah, all right. So stuff like that will happen in real life. So trades are a little weird. Contracts, though, this is something you can do. I saw a YouTube video with it. I forgot who made it. I'm pretty sure if you just search up best contract sliders, it'll pop up. What you're going to do is just, turn these sliders all the way up. And basically what all these sliders do is it makes it that in free agency you aren't sitting there with a bunch of like good players. Like for example, DeRozan would probably be sitting because for some reason he's going to be commanding $30 million, and a guy like Bradley Beal would be sitting, or a guy like let's say a young guy like Resacher. If he was in the free agency pool right now, he'd be sitting because he would want $50 million for no reason, which I guess he's that solid. Let's see, who else is a guy that is not going to develop but he's young? Jaden Hardy. He would want $30 million guaranteed. He definitely would. So he wouldn't sign with you, and he'd just stay in there in free agency for years and years, and it would kind of ruin it, because then you start seeing guys starting that you're like, why is the 68 overall starting on this team? Or let's go down here, why is Dominique Clifford starting for the Pacers? Because Aaron Nesmith didn't want to re-sign with them because he wants $40 million. So stuff like that, make the contracts cheaper, and you can fit everybody onto teams. There's no free agents that are like just sitting there and they're 80 overall above. Honestly, the lowest overall, the highest overalls are probably like 76, 77, maybe a 78 on a good day. That brings me into another thing. If you're controlling all the other teams, you're looking around the league. If there's a player on a bad team that has a big contract, there's only 1 year left. Release him. I think that's what I did with Bradley Beal. He was on the Nets, I believe, and then he got signed to the Thunder, which I just literally kept to. I just let the Thunder do that by themselves. He was on Toronto. So he was on Toronto. I released him. He signed with the Thunder, and they had a chance to compete for the championship. So that's something you need to do. Who else did I release? There'll be players that are older, like James Harden. I eventually released him because he was, $20 million contract. Like 2 years later after this, he was old. Release him. If this team's not competing, why waste a roster spot there for him? I probably should have done this sooner because this Pistons team, I don't think they were good this year. Yeah, didn't even make the playoffs. So just little things like that. Andrew Wiggins is somebody I did that with. You'll find teams that just have an old player and it makes no sense for them to stay there. Paul George, he's 86 right now. I think 2 years into the future he's like an 81. Release him. If he's on his last year of his contract and the team is not competing, you're not going to be able to find a trade asset for him, because I don't know, it just doesn't work like that sometimes in real life. So quote unquote buy out that contract, let him go to a team that compete, and let the team get worse that he just got released from so they can get a better draft pick. That's one of the things I like to do. Let's see, what else can we talk about here? Let's go to the rest of the settings. The the gameplay settings right here if you want those. I uploaded those onto my account. The username is StrapMamba, capital S, capital M. It's right here. It's beyond Hall of Fame, adjusted from, I believe, Pop Boy, but I've adjusted it a lot because some things are a little annoying that he has. Pass accuracy is like ridiculously low for him, and what you'll see sometimes with the CPU is they'll throw a pass and it's way off, and same thing with your CPU. Yes, it makes it challenging for you, but when the CPU is throwing passes that are way off, it makes it easier to close out the open shooters that you left open, and just stuff like that. So with gameplay, you can download those and try to play them. Let me know how they are, but sometimes they're a little hard. Like OKC, I remember they dropped like 150 points on us in Game 5 or something like that. 146. If it wasn't for this ridiculous, geez, good times. 45 from Scotty, 44, 12, and 22. If it wasn't for this, we would have lost. Lost by like 70. And you see, this team shot ridiculous, but sometimes this happens in real life. A team will shoot the lights out. The Pacers just did that in real life, like a month ago or something like that when they played the Knicks in Game 7. Teams will do that, especially if they're talented. They'll do that. With this Thunder team, another thing is, if there are guys that should be playing or starting, but they aren't for some reason, you gotta adjust that as well. I'm trying to think of a situation where a player would be like not playing as much as they should be. Like Stephon Castle, I'm pretty sure. No, it wasn't Stephon Castle, but there'll be players that should be playing that won't be playing, and it will hurt their development. Honestly, they won't play as much. Like Amen Thompson, I'm pretty sure he's a point guard. Move him up the power forward. If his overall goes down a little bit, adjust the intangibles, and make sure he goes up to the same overall. Maybe sometimes you don't need the same overall. It helps with trade value sometimes. If injuries happen, another thing you can do is just go to this injury report right here, click this, and it'll remove the injury. Boom, as easy as can be. Sometimes though, if it is a player on a bad team, the team is well behind in the playoff race, keep it there. It's kind of a storyline of the rich get richer, and in this it's the exact opposite. The poor get even poorer. They're getting robbed. Their best players out for the season. Just let it happen. There's nothing you can really do about it in terms of that. Another thing is some teams, and honestly this video is incredibly random. No game plan heading into this. I am unorganized for this video, but it's just a lot of stuff I wanted to share to make your experience better, because honestly this is the most fun I've had with a MyNBA ever in 2K, because if you can get some stuff right, 2K takes care of the rest, and it's really fun. It's really a great experience. Some teams will not do good no matter the circumstances. Grizzlies, listen man, I tried with this team. I gave them Donovan Clingan in the draft. Desmond Bane's back. Jaren Jackson. Ding Patel develops pretty nicely for them. Ja is phenomenal. Sometimes it doesn't work, man. The Suns, as long as they have Booker and Durant, they're not going to be good. I don't know what it is. They're not going to be good. It's just weird. Mavericks, they're 50-50. Sometimes they're amazing. Sometimes they're terrible. So you got to adjust stuff like that. Pelicans are always going to be terrible. They always are. I think the last 2 years before this season in this league that I'm doing right now, they were pretty good. But they're going to be terrible. The Spurs, they're going to need as much help as humanly possible. Wolves, same thing. I had to force a lot of wins for them just to make them in playoff contention, because they should be. They absolutely should be in playoff contention. And I think they missed the playoffs this year. So that's like how? How do you have that squad and you miss the playoffs? Clippers are always going to be solid. If you get rid of Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they're going to be solid, which is weird. But it is what it is. Kings are going to be middle of the pack, solid. Rockets are always going to be good. Nuggets are going to fluctuate from 9 to 3 to 2. Thunder, they're always going to be ridiculous. It's just, especially 5 years into the future, they're going to be great. In the East, it's going to be super weak. The Knicks do pretty solid. Pistons are 50-50. The Bucks will do terrible. I'm telling you, they will do terrible. I had to force them some wins. It just makes no sense why they're so bad. They will literally be last if you don't force them wins. Sixers, Embiid, you need to up his shot tendency or make it more centered around him, because he just does not play well. I don't know what it is. In the 3 years after the real season, only cracked 20 points per game once. Makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. The Pacers are extremely hit or miss. They're either number one or they're down here at the bottom. Nets will always be mid. Unless you give them a superstar, they're going to be mid. Wizards, you'll see, they can get pretty good. Chicago, they'll be pretty good too. If they don't get injured, they'll be good. Hawks are middle of the pack. Heat will be terrible. The Boston Celtics, my God, they are always trash. I have no idea what it is. They're always going to be garbage. It makes no sense to me. I had to force wins even to get them to the 7th seed, so it makes no sense. Cavs will be middle. They'll be, in this range, or they'll be up to the top. Magic, for some reason, they have Book, Franz Wagner, Paulo. This team is just not as good as it should be. Hornets, this team will actually be pretty solid, so that's cool to see. And then the rest of the teams. Some teams you're going to need to force some wins to make it more interesting, because otherwise you'll get a team with 382 players and 85, and that's it, and they'll be the number one seed. It makes no sense. You're going to have to force wins. And another thing, you're going to have to force tendencies. Giannis is a guy who in 2K you can clamp up if you simply just back off and let him shoot mid-range jumpers the whole game or pull up three-pointers. A tendency that you really need to fix in this game when it comes to players is the pull-up and contested tendencies. Driving pull-up, you need to fix that 100%. For some reason, some guys have like an 80 and their three-pointer is maybe a 65, maybe a 70. Giannis had like a 60-something pull-up. It can ruin games because, look, Jarrett Allen has a 31 drive pull-up for 3. When has he ever done that in his career? These guys will just start. Julius Randle does it so much. It's so bad. He has like a 73 pointer in this universe. 73 3-pointer. He will pull up all day and shoot his team out of the game. With some guys, though, I will say it is very helpful. Guys that can get downhill, Anthony Edwards is probably the best example of this. He will drive, and you have to respect his drive so much because he's an elite athlete, especially in 2K. He has amazing animations, amazing badges, and it helps him a ton. So you have to respect his drive. Then he'll pull up for 3, and he's got a pretty high three-point rating. And he'll knock it down at 87.3. He's going to knock it down. So tendencies are one thing to pay attention to. The better defenders in the league, you want to give them all these. I wouldn't say 100 if you want to stay super realistic, because their numbers will start looking ridiculous. Like Ant will be averaging like 2 blocks and 2 steals a game, which I don't think he can do. He might be able to do it, but it's very unlikely. I think like Michael Jordan and some other guys have done that as a guard, and I don't know, maybe just MJ. I don't even know if he's done it. But the best defenders in the league, if you want to make it challenging, give them 100. You know, McDaniels, he is one of the best defenders in the league. He sticks like glue. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, I didn't do it in this, but eventually you do have to do that to him because he will become a very good player defensively, and you want to give them 94 feet, you want to give them clamps, all that to make it difficult so it feels realistic. With Giannis, he can suffocate you on the perimeter and inside, so you want to up some of that stuff as well. Another thing is, where is it? Driving, you want to make sure you give these isolations, right? Sometimes players will isolate against defenders that you know are going to clamp them up. Sometimes these guys won't ISO. Why does Jason Tatum have an ISO versus a good defender at 25? A good defender is not stopping Jason Tatum. Elite, maybe. But poor defender, yes. These damn near need to be 100 for the top guys in the league. And sometimes they just aren't, which is just weird. Like, you're telling me Jalen Brunson's not going to go at that assignment every single time. Kevin Durant will had to up his contested mid-range jumper. KD's going to take those. That's another thing with the settings, with the gameplay settings. Sometimes players in real life, they're not really affected by a ton of closeouts unless you're like 6'12" and you know you got a 8-foot wingspan and you're contesting shots. I'm trying to see where the strength is. So shot coverage impact, you can turn that up a little bit more because sometimes they will hit crazy shots. But 23 is pretty money for me, along with some other settings down here. You also want to fix their tendencies in the gameplay settings. Take inside shots, realistic. Take 3-point shots, that's high because that's what teams do nowadays. I would lower the look for post players because sometimes they will post up Vince Williams and it makes no sense. Lobs, 60 is cool, but I feel like it should be a little bit higher. They don't go for his lobs as much. But these are important too. You will get backdoor to cut. You will get backdoor cutted to death, which makes it harder. You know, your teammates or your team is giving up open cuts. It makes it harder. Contest shots, got to keep that up. On-ball steals, keep it up, but maybe go a little bit lower, like 70, because sometimes they will get steals. Playing passing lanes, keep that up. Honestly, you can turn that to 100 if you're playing a good defensive team. It makes it more suffocating. You have to be more strategic with your passing. You have to be a lot smarter when throwing passes. Fouls is another thing. For user, you need to turn that shooting foul down a lot for these pop boy sliders, because every time you jump on a contest, it will be a foul. And that's not entirely realistic. A lot of guys in the NBA don't foul every time. Illegal screen, you need to turn that down too. That gets called a lot. But I'm trying to find more stuff to give you guys to make it more realistic. Another thing is try to keep your team together, which is funny because this team is not together at all nowadays. But try to keep these guys together. Taurean Prince has been with us since I started this rebuild. McBride has been here for 3 years. He's going to make it 4 next year, or 3 years next year. Vince Williams will be here for 2 or 3 years. Jonathan Isaac will be here for 3 years. Quentin Grimes, 4 years. Like, try to keep the team together. Try to create your own storylines. Like, Austin Reeves gets traded because he doesn't get to play. Try to create storylines to make it more interesting. Try different strategies. Oh, another thing that makes the gameplay way better. When you have your coach, go to coach settings. Use user plays only. That's for the play vision. But play calling, turn that to auto, because your coach will call plays and it kind of makes it a little more realistic, right? Darvin Ham sometimes calls the stupidest fucking plays and it like drives me insane. And to a certain extent, that's kind of realistic. Coaches will do the same thing over and over again, and even if it doesn't work, I don't know what it is, ego, or they think eventually it'll get right, or you know, they think that's the best thing and nothing else will work. That'll happen. I don't know why I don't have that on there. That's kind of far. Teammate cut the basket. But yeah, keep that on. It makes it more realistic. It makes it more immersive. And just try to have as much realistic gameplay as you can with those sliders. And honestly, that's about everything, man. that's about everything. If you want to spice up your league, add a league expansion, stuff like that, system proficiency, bunch of stuff like that. You can get even deeper into this game. You can do a lot of crazy stuff. You can have a rotation timeline, which I've never done, but I have done it before. It is extremely hard to get it down, especially when you have injuries. But there's a ton of stuff you can do in this game mode. It makes it way more fun. Also try to refresh the jerseys every few years to keep it fresh. There's a lot of stuff you can do with this mode. It is one of the best modes I've ever played in any video game ever. It is incredibly deep if you use it right. And just make sure to have fun with it, and make sure, if you use a lot of these tips I gave you in this video, you're gonna have a great time playing the game. If you don't, then you probably just don't like the game. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not gonna defend 2K, because Lord knows they run up our pockets. But this is an incredibly immersed game mode. You can play eras, you can play everything else. But I just want to give you some tips, some stuff I use to keep it fun. Like, I've been playing 2K for like 10 years now, and I'm still having fun with it. Especially this year, especially when everybody thinks, we should stop buying the game. I'm actually still having fun with it. So I'm gonna buy it. I'm kind of a sucker. I'm gonna buy it. But yeah, those are the tips and tricks. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll be trying to do a lot of different videos as we head into kind of the off season of NBA 2K content. NCAA is coming out soon. Gonna do a rebuild with that. I'll let you guys know soon, hopefully. I think it comes out in like 2 or 3 weeks. June. It's like 3 or 4 weeks actually. But yeah, that's gonna be the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and make sure you tune into the Lakers NBA series. So peace.